Thank you for...
Welcome to Radio Bravery Live. I'm your host, Justin Bellshaw. YouTube.com/RadioBravery. You can subscribe today. We've got 15 whole subscribers. This is Small Leaks Sink Ships bringing us in. A caller on Infowars.com called in yesterday and suggested this band, and I love them. So I'm just gonna let this play out for a second because this is pretty beautiful.
Time to line, only goodbye. I'll be serious for a moment. Don't you worry, I'm still hiding, so you never have to find me. Gotta love it. You always told me I'd be waiting from destruction.
That's Small Leaks Sink Ships. You can find them on YouTube. All their music's free. smallleaks787.fanbridge.com or smallleaks.com. Check them out. They're info warriors and they're supporting the truth just like us. But thanks so much for joining me live here on Radio Bravery Live, youtube.com/RadioBravery, facebook.com/RadioBravery. You can find me at Radio Bravery on Twitter, WordPress, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's jump right into the news. Obviously, the most biggest news right now, most important, is the Paris Climate Accord and what's gone on in the past day to bring that to a halt. And I was definitely giving my own applause while I was listening to the radio yesterday. I was very happy to see that the Paris Climate Accord is now cut off from the U.S. And we can look at this article right here from Infowars.com that came out the next day. NASA data proves Trump was right to exit Paris Climate Accord. And this goes on to show NASA's own data backs President Trump's decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement, despite the agency's politicized leaders claiming otherwise. Additionally, recent Canadian Ice Service data showed Greenland ice nearing a record high as Arctic sea ice extends over 300,000 square miles past its 2016 levels. So, for anybody saying that the ice caps are melting out there, they're over 300,000 square miles bigger than last year, and there's a record high in Greenland ice caps. So, we are actually entering a global cooling period at this moment, and there's going to be a lot more evidence coming out here in the next couple weeks about that, as Lord Christopher Monckton is about to release his first paper proving that the mathematic equations and certain scientific reasoning, different, I don't know exactly the words or verbiage to use, but basically he's proven that the process that a lot of scientists use to get to where they are now claiming global warming, he can now prove that the process was faulted in the entire way through. So we're going to be seeing that paper come out shortly on global research, global policy and research, something like that.com. Anyhow, in a 2015 NASA study showed Antarctic sheet was expanding, the Antarctic ice sheet, refuting claims by global warming advocates that polar ice would soon disappear. A new NASA study says that an increase in Antarctic snow accumulation that began 10,000 years ago is currently adding enough ice to the continent to outweigh the increased losses from its thinning glaciers. The research challenges the conclusions of other studies, including the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 2013 report, which says that Antarctica is overall losing land ice. Well, that's not exactly true at all, considering Antarctica's ice is 300,000 square miles bigger than last year. 300,000 square fucking miles. I don't know how to get more clear than that we are cooling, not warming. Let's go to some of the highlights of Trump's Paris Climate Accord speech that I listened to twice yesterday because I was so impressed with a lot of the things he said, with the statistics he dropped, with the facts he dropped about the agreement and where it would have totally fucked the U.S. and fucked our economy. So I was very impressed with this speech. Let's just listen to the audio of some of the highlights.
Thank you. Before we discuss the Paris Accord, I'd like to begin with an update on our tremendous, absolutely tremendous economic progress since Election Day. The economy is starting to come back. We've added $3.3 trillion in stock market value for the United States, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs. It was a very, very successful trip. We have taken historic steps to demand fair and reciprocal trade that gives Americans a level playing field. Our attacks on terrorism are greatly stepped up. We're bringing jobs, plants, and factories back into the United States. On these issues and so many more, we're following through on our commitments. I am fighting every day for the great people of this country. But begin negotiations to re-enter either the Paris Accord or in really entirely new transaction. The Paris...
I'll just pause that for 1 second, go into a couple facts about the Paris Climate Accord that you might not know. They, in the agreements that the 172 or whatever countries agreed to reduce their CO2 emissions by 2100, okay? So what they estimate by 2100, if everyone follows through with their agreements correctly, then the global temperature of Fahrenheit would be reduced by 2100 to 0.002% of a or 0.002 degrees Fahrenheit. 0.002 degrees Fahrenheit by 2100. By 2100. And they go on to say, you can listen to Mark Moreno talk about this on Climate Depot, that the actual problem that we're facing right now is global cooling. And by 2100, we are actually looking at that, like, it may be, the temperature may be dropping 0.2 degrees, 0.2 degrees exactly, and that would be absolutely devastating for crops, for agricultural growth, if the Earth was to lower or cool 0.2 degrees. But they're saying that we will be able to keep it from warming 0.002 degrees if we fall through with losing these 2.1 million jobs and shutting down our industry. It is
simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States. Thus, as of today, the United States will cease all implementation of the non-binding Paris Accord. Very importantly, the Green Climate Fund, which is costing the United States a vast fortune. This includes 440,000 fewer manufacturing jobs, not what we need. No. Believe me, this is not what we need.
It would take away 440,000 manufacturing jobs.
A deal that punishes the United States, which is what it does. Yep. India makes its participation contingent on receiving billions and billions and billions of dollars in foreign aid. China will be allowed to build hundreds of additional coal plants. In short, the agreement doesn't eliminate coal.
Oh yeah, the agreement would say that we have to eliminate all of our coal plants and move them all to China. And China can have 100 more coal plants, and it doesn't even need to be clean. We have scrubbers on our coal plants, on the smokestacks of our coal plants. We have scrubbers that make all of the gases into water vapor. So all of our coal plants here in the U.S. are actually clean, and the only thing that is let off of them is water vapor because we have scrubbers in the smokestacks from those coal plants. But in this Paris Climate Accord, we would be giving over 100 factories positions in China. So we would just be moving all of the coal plants to China, and they could have 100 more dirty coal plants fucking just spewing out dirty emissions while we have to get rid of all of our coal plants. Even though they were already clean, we have to get rid of them all and get rid of 440,000 jobs. That's what it would cost just from the manufacturing sector.
This transfers those jobs out of America and the United States. A cynic would say the obvious reason for economic competitors: we have among the most abundant energy reserves on the planet. Yet under this agreement, we are effectively putting these reserves under lock and key and leaving millions and millions of families trapped in poverty and joblessness. At 1% growth, renewable sources of energy can meet, even if the Paris Agreement were implemented in full. It is estimated it would only produce a 0.2 of 1 degree. Think of that.
0.2.
In fact, 14
Of 1
days
degree.
of carbon emissions from China alone would wipe out the gains after we have had to spend billions and billions of dollars, lost jobs, closed factories, and suffered much.
So you see, you hear that right there? Even if we did get the 0.2% down for us here in the U.S., China's spewing emissions would still eliminate our gains completely and cancel each other out, because they would be spewing more dirty emissions because it would just be moved from the U.S. to China.
Energy costs for our businesses and for our homes. I'm willing to immediately work with Democratic leaders to either negotiate our way back into Paris.
He's willing to work with the Democratic leaders, the obstructionist left. He's willing to work with anyone on the obstructionist left who doesn't want to obstruct movement forward for our country. But no one's willing.
A new deal that protects our country and its taxpayers. The same nations asking us to stay in the agreement are the countries that have collectively cost America trillions of dollars. I promised I would exit or renegotiate any deal which fails to serve America's interests. The Green Fund would likely obligate the United States to commit. In 2015, the Green Climate Fund's executive director estimated funding needed would increase to $450 billion per year. Nobody's been able to say, where is it going to?
Yeah.
America is $20 trillion in debt.
We're losing $450 billion a year on green energy movements, and no one fucking knows where this green energy is and why we're still in extreme debt.
Cash-strapped cities cannot hire enough police officers. There are serious legal and constitutional issues as well. The risks grow as historically these agreements only tend to become more and more ambitious over time. In other words, the Paris framework is just a starting point. I have one obligation, and that obligation is to the American people. The Paris Accord would undermine our economy, hamstring our workers, and put us at a permanent disadvantage to the other countries of the world. It is time to exit the Paris Accord, and time to pursue a new deal that protects the environment, our companies, our citizens, and our country. And Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, before Paris, France. It is time to make America great again. Thank you.
So that was Donald Trump, the highlights from his Paris Climate Accord speech yesterday, June 1st, a historical day. Yeah, we now have headlines from German newspapers out saying, Earth to Trump, fuck you. And this is right on the headline front page, Earth to Trump, fuck you. Because he is unwilling to sell out the United States for these fucking piece of shit countries that want us to submit to them, to their rules, to sign on to a Paris Climate Accord, to a global initiative, to a global... No, we are the U.S., we are sovereign, we are our own country, and we don't need to fucking sign on to your stupid bullshit accord to steal our power, control, and money. So Der Spiegel, another piece of shit organization out here, got Donald Trump's head as a flying asteroid towards planet Earth. Oh yeah, all this propaganda. It's Trump against the planet. It's all Germany too. It's all out of Germany, which is pretty much completely overrun by radical Muslims. But Greenpeace Germany's got a thing on their building. Total loser. So sad about Donald Trump. Oh, you know what? The head of Greenpeace, the founder of Greenpeace, did you know that he doesn't believe in global warming and he had to leave Greenpeace because Greenpeace is a bunch of dumbasses? So the founder of Greenpeace is saying that climate change is a fucking fraud? Yeah, the founder of Greenpeace doesn't agree with you. So who's the real total losers falling for actual fake news nonstop? The Antarctica ice sheets are 300,000 square miles bigger than last year, folks. 300,000 square miles. I don't know how I can get more obvious. It's getting really old. It's getting really old to have to repeat this over and over and over again. 1.5 degrees Celsius. Oh my god, that's gonna help. No, it's not. It's a fucking joke. And the Paris Climate Accord was only meant to take away control from our country and to hurt us economically and to stop production of energy. That is the whole goal. But yeah, I am very, very proud that we got out of this climate accord. I'm so happy. That is a really great thing, but we've got a lot more battles on our way. Here's one right here, an article from Salon.com. Yet another video shows U.S.-funded white helmets assisting public-held executions in rebel-held Syria. This is an article from Salon.com. Syria Civil Defense, popularly known as the White Helmets, can be seen in a new video assisting in a public execution in a rebel-held town in Syria. It is at least the second such execution video featuring members of the Nobel Prize-nominated group. The White Helmets have received at least $23 million in funding from the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, a wing of the State Department. The British Foreign Office and other European governments have pitched in as well. Frequently cited as an invaluable source of information by Western media outlets, the group, where was it? The British, frequently cited as an invaluable source of information by Western media outlets, the group was the subject of an Academy Award-winning 2016 Netflix documentary, The White Helmets. Endorsement from A-list Hollywood celebrities like George Clooney and Justin Timberlake, as well as Hillary Clinton and British Foreign Minister Boris Johnson, have followed. Large corporate media networks have yet to report on the dark side of the White Helmets, however, and the films, like the widely celebrated Netflix feature, function as uncritical commercials for the group, hoping to keep the public in a state of ignorance about the domination of the Western-backed Syrian armed opposition by the extremist Salafi jihadist groups, and about the civil conflict in general. But yeah, this goes on to say these white helmets who are nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize are assisting publicly in executions. There's a video right here that you can watch where the white helmets, this group is getting millions of dollars from the U.S. to help aid, is assisting in public executions. Look at this. This place just looks like a hellhole. Fucking people everywhere. Just nothing around. They've got a guy knelt down on a blanket on his knees, and they got a gun to the back of his head, and they're about to shoot him in the back of the head. And you've got the white helmets all around helping keep people back. Yep, and they just shot him in the back of the head. And everybody cheers. And the white helmets come in, pick up the body, put the blanket over him on a stretcher, and carry him off. And that's what's going on in Syria right now, where we brought freedom to Syria. Yay! They are doing so good. Public executions with our help. Oh, wow. So yeah, Syria is doing really great thanks to Hillary Clinton and her State Department. Let's jump into this next article from BBC.com. Resorts World Manila. At least 36 bodies found at casino complex. At least 36 bodies have been recovered from a casino and hotel complex in the Philippine capital Manila, where a lone gunman opened fire overnight. Most of the dead suffocated in the thick toxic smoke after the man set fire to the casino tables. The gunman, whose nationality is not yet known, began shooting in the casino in Resorts World Manila in the early hours of Friday morning. Of course, ISIS has taken responsibility for this, just like every other piece of shit attack from Life's Losers. Life's Losers have struck once again, killing 36 people. And this is going to keep happening every single day, folks. Every single day, we're going to see more and more and more attacks. I have to cover it every day on Radio Bravery Live. What is next? What is ISIS going to do next with their religion of peace? How did the attack unfold? The man who is yet to be named, because you definitely can't name him, might be a Muslim name, entered the casino shortly after midnight and began firing an assault rifle. Oh, but, you know, guns are illegal, and we better ban guns, because, he never would have been able to get that illegal weapon otherwise if they were banned. Firing an assault rifle, spreading widespread panic. People running and screaming at Manila Casino. He fired into the air, not at people, but it caused fear. We have some injured people and some dead as well, but none of them have gunshot wounds. Basically just scared everyone into fleeing into corners and then set the place on fire as they all sat there dying. Didn't even need to use the gun. All he needed was a little match, but we better start banning matches too, not ISIS, because it's fires that kill people, not people. Let's jump to this next article here from Newsweek.com. This is almost as troubling as the last article. Black Lives Matter wins Global Peace Prize for championing justice and equality. I can't get that word out. But yeah, Black Lives Matter, this is from Newsweek.com, has now won a fucking Global Peace Prize. Oh, Lord. Can you believe it? I don't even want to read any more of this article, but let's just go into why they should never have ever been considered for a fucking Global Peace Prize. Excuse me, but here's one from NewYorkDailyNews.com. Ex-Chicago top cop blames Black Lives Matter for skyrocketing murder rates. This is a ex-Chicago police officer. Chicago's disgraced top cop thinks Black Lives Matter is to blame for the city's sharp surge in violence. He was fired in 2015. So basically goes on to blame, so what's happening, and this is ironic, is that a movement with the goal of saying Black lives at this point, with the goal of saving Black lives at this point, is getting Black lives taken, because 80% of our murder victims here in Chicago are male blacks. Yes, and they are being attacked by who? Other male black people. Yes, and that is what's going on, and most of them are involved in fucking Black Lives Matter. So then you go into, here's another example of why they shouldn't have gotten the Nobel fucking Peace Prize. Maybe because of, this guy. Detroit man who tortured and killed 2 white teens declares Black Lives Matter during sentencing. Let's just...
Now,
Go into that right
Two
here.
Westland teenagers murdered execution style in a vacant Detroit field.
Now, 2.5 years later, their killers are going to prison for life.
So
Fox News
peaceful,
Amy
though.
Lang with more
Nobel
from
Peace
today's
Prize.
emotional sentencing.
Black Lives Matter.
These families have waited so long for justice. Finally, their opportunity to address the men who killed their sons. But what one of the defendants had to say to them left everyone shaking their heads.
Stripped of clothes, stripped of possessions, stripped of innocence, and then stripped of life.
Joshua Babish describes the brutal deaths of his brother Jordan Babish and his friend Jacob Kudla. The teens from Westland went missing in July of 2012. Their lifeless bodies discovered days later in a field on Detroit's east side.
Everything just aches, and it's just a totally senseless crime.
Yeah, they were stripped naked, they were beaten, tortured, and murdered, and left dead in a field. And, Black Lives Matter.
To march someone out in the middle of the field and execute them. I mean, we're not a third world country. You know, sometimes I wish what did happen in a third world country, because it would be a lot different outcome of this whole thing.
Instead, these two men, Frederick Young and Philando Hunter, were sentenced on this day to life in prison without parole for robbing, torturing, murdering the two teens who had been in Detroit trying to buy drugs.
Not only
So these two young teens, okay, these kids were not even 18. These are like 16, 17-year-old kids, go into this town, and they have probably not a racist bone in their fucking body. They go up to these black guys trying to buy drugs from them, trying to be cool. They're all trying to just talk, try to, you know, hang out, buy some drugs, and these guys take these kids out into a field, trusting. They take their trusting nature and they get them out here. They coerce them out to the field and then tie them up and torture them for hours, and then murder them execution style, drop the bodies in a field like animals. That's what pieces of garbage run with Black Lives Matter.
and to take away my son's future. He took away my future. My future as a mother. My future as a grandmother.
I have sorrow in my heart, soul, and every fiber of my being today, and I will carry that with me for the rest of my life here on earth.
The mothers of the teens.
This fucking piece of shit, too, is just sitting there with his back to the mother as she's giving her statement. He's just like, yep, dog. Black Lives Matter. I don't give a shit, dog. Yep, nope, murdered them. Yep, I murdered those little kids. Yep, I'm a badass. You fucking pathetic loser. Fuck you. It's disgusting.
Deep, devastating pain and loss left behind. Yet when Young had his chance to apologize to the families, he did nothing of the sort.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to say sorry to the families of Ayanna Jones, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, and I want to apologize to them for not being able to get justice for their loved ones who was murdered in cold blood, and in respect for the...
Oh, yeah, Michael Brown, he was murdered in cold blood, baby. I'm going to apologize to his family because, you know, he was beating on people. He tried to grab that officer's gun. He tried to shoot at that officer. You know, he didn't deserve that, dog. You know, I just want to say Michael Brown Lives Matter because, you know, Michael Brown... He was only like in there trying to steal cigarettes and trying to, you know, rob places and trying to shoot off officers, you know. No big deal. He had a criminal background or nothing. Michael Brown Lives Matter.
Protest, I want to say hands up, don't shoot. Black Lives Matter.
Oh, hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Oh, you mean the saying that was totally proven to be a fucking lie when he never said hands up, don't shoot? Never, ever once said hands up, don't shoot? That was never said, you fucking pathetic life's loser. Hashtag life's loser. Life's loser. Black Lives Matter. Life's losers. Right there. ISIS. Black Lives Matter. Life's losers. Whew. Trump had it right. Just want to say, hands up, don't shoot. Black Lives Matter. Fuck this white mom.
I want to apologize to them for not being able to get justice for their loved ones who was murdered in cold blood, and in respect for the peaceful protest, I want to say hands up, don't shoot. Black Lives Matter. That's it, Your Honor.
Oh, that's it, Your Honor. You know, no big deal that the mother who just had her son's lives taken away forever, you know, because I just wanted to go and murder them. You know, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You know, this guy is a fucking piece of garbage, and I hope he is ass raped every day in prison.
People in the courtroom react in disbelief, but still, the message from the families of Jacob Kudla and Jordan Babish, one of forgiveness.
In the end, knowing who Jordan was, I believe he would want me to offer forgiveness. Although I know I may struggle with that endeavor for the rest of my life, it would be what Jordan would want. I On behalf of Jordan and myself, I will pray for forgiveness for both of you.
No matter what
And you don't
sentence the
deserve
court
that at all.
imposes.
Those pieces of shit do not deserve forgiveness. And that's where I differ on that. I don't have a bone of forgiveness in my body for murdering, torturing pieces of shit. Now let's move on to a little more recent violence that's going on here in Portland, Oregon. I told you that I'd cover the updates on what's going on with the Portland stabbing, the other piece of shit, Jeremy Christian. So this guy, it's turned out, is got a little more interesting background than everybody seemed to think right away. So we got this article from the Gateway Pundit. New Portland stabber caught on video threatening to stab passengers one day before he killed 2 people. Goes on to say, as the Gateway Pundit previously reported, Jeremy Christian, a man who killed 2 people in Portland and was shouting about Islam, was not a Trump supporter nor a member of the New Right. Of course, the fake news media has been painting Jeremy Christian as a white supremacist. Painting Jeremy Christian as a white supremacist and a Trump supporter, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Because of the fake news that Jeremy Christian was a Trump supporter, Mayor Ted Wheeler, a Democrat, has acted to suspend the First Amendment rights of Trump supporters and those opposed to Islamic Sharia law by banning demonstrations planned for Portland in the coming weeks. So they use this incident to ban your free speech here in Portland, Oregon, which will not happen. You cannot suspend the First Amendment right of anybody, so good luck with that, Ted Wheeler, you piece of shit. Below is a new cell phone video that's come out of Jeremy Christian going on a racist rant and threatening to stab people just one day before he stabbed 3 people on the MAX train. Sure enough, the people that he was threatening to stab were Trump supporters, and the Trump supporters called the police numerous times on him the day before. What did the Portland police do when they found out that it was Trump supporters he was planning to kill? Nothing! They did absolutely nothing. They didn't talk to Jeremy Christian, they didn't confront Jeremy Christian, and they didn't even do anything about this video that was posted the day before about him threatening to kill people on video the day before. Threatening to kill Trump supporters. Yes, because they didn't do anything because it was about Trump supporters. Well, then the next day, what does he do? He goes out and yells white supremacist things, anti-Muslim things. Portland stabber media keep painting as white supremacist. Trump supporter was raging progressive, wanted to kill Trump supporters. Christian has been recorded now in court through different people saying that he was running a psyop. That is his words, that he was supposedly running a psyop against Trump supporters. And his whole goal was to make Trump supporters look racist. And that's why if you look at his Facebook, he's got numerous Democratic things all over his Facebook, except for the last 2 months is all pro-Trump things that he started adding on there to make himself look like, a Trump supporter when he goes out and fucking murders someone. And of course, the police never did anything about it the whole time, and they knew the whole time that he was threatening numerous times. There's actually 2 videos of him, once in public and once at a rally, threatening to kill people. He came to a rally threatening to beat Trump supporters with a baseball bat, and what did the police do? They took his baseball bat and let him continue to be there threatening Trump supporters. So you see where this all goes. It's all about the fake media and where they can use this, how they can use this to their advantage. So I'm just fucking sick and tired of seeing people lying and trying to manipulate and use murders like this for their own political gain. Just so frustrating. So you see more and more coming out about how this Jeremy Christian guy was not a Trump supporter, was not a right-winger, was not an Islamophobia person. No, he was a left-winger, he was a progressive, this is what he called himself, and he hated Trump supporters, and he wanted to kill Trump supporters. And that's why he went and was yelling Muslim slurs at Muslim women and attacking anybody he could to make Trump supporters look bad, and he said that in his own words. Brave and selfless organ stabbing victims hailed as heroes for standing up to racist rants. This is from ADN.com. More use of the story for political gain. This is all you're seeing in articles about this is political gain, political gain, political gain. Nothing actually caring about the incident, nothing actually caring about stopping an incident from happening again, and nothing actually breaking down the truth about this person, who he was or what he stood for. So I'm going to continue to update you again, as I said I would, and as I've continued to do on what comes out with that. I'll cover the arraignment and cover what he says in court and what statements he will be making from here on. But let's jump to our last article here on Radio Bravery Live, youtube.com/Radio Bravery. Please subscribe today. I would love to have more than 15 subscribers. That'd be awesome. This last article is the best breakdown I've seen yet of the evidence of Seth Rich being murdered. This is by Jerome Corsi, Infowars.com, and like I said, this is the best breakdown I've seen yet. Evidence backs claim pro-Bernie Seth Rich was DNC leaker. WikiLeaks emails an inside job to get back at Hillary, evidence suggests. This article is part 3 in a series of 3 articles investigating the Seth Rich murder. Part 1, developed the following. Hillary's campaign lacks on cybersecurity and working with the DNC to make sure Sanders did not have a chance of winning invited multiple attacks from both hackers on the outside and from leakers on the inside. Part 2 makes clear the multiple hacks and multiple leaks that plagued Hillary's 2016 presidential campaign came from multiple sources. This Part 3 makes the case that Seth Rich was the likely source of both the WikiLeaks DNC emails published on July 22nd, 2016 as part of the Podesta file emails that WikiLeaks began publishing October 7th, 2016. The breakthrough in this series of articles is the attempt to apply intelligence analytical techniques to sort out the various known cybersecurity attacks on Democrats during the 2016 presidential campaign to determine the rogue agent responsible for each separate known cybersecurity attack. Washington, D.C. The purpose of the first hurdle is to determine if Seth Rich had a motive to harm Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. The participating incident establishing Seth Rich's motive demands an investigation of the 2015 December incident in which 4 IT specialists in Sanders' campaign were proven to have breached the DNC voter database to transfer Clinton campaign proprietary voter data to their Sanders campaign computers. Now, here's where the motive comes in. On Wednesday, December 16th, 2015, NGPVAN, the software system operated by the DNC that provided donor data and voter data, released a software modification that contained a bug that dropped a firewall, opening a window of approximately 40 minutes. During which IT specialists in Bernie Sanders' campaign were allowed to view and copy voter data proprietarily from Hillary Clinton's campaign. A DNC email released by WikiLeaks made clear Amy Dacey, communications director for the Clinton campaign, had concluded the data breach was serious. As a result of the analysis, NGPVAN found that campaign staff on the Sanders campaign, including the campaign's national data director, had accessed proprietary information about which voters were being targeted by the Clinton campaign, and in so doing violated their agreements with the DNC. These staffers then saved this information in their personal folders on the system, and over the course of the next day we learned that at least one staffer appeared to have generated reports and exported them from the system. These are the leaks that you saw. These are the leaks that ended up coming out. Now, all we know is that it was one of these staffers related. There's only 3 staffers, okay? One of them is now dead. And the information came from one of these 3. That's what we've just gone over, okay? So one of them's dead. Might be that one. Goes on to say... The logbook entries showed 4 Sanders IT specialists, sorry, 4, not 3, spent 2 hours in the data without notifying MBG or VAN of the firewall being down, calling up information from about a dozen states, downloading data that included a turnout variable showing on a scale of 1 to 100 how likely a person is to vote, with the goal of establishing a high priority score to someone the campaign should make an effort to contact and persuade. David Atkins, a campaign consultant and local and county official in the California Democratic Party, told PolitiFact.com the information would give the Sanders campaign a view of how the Clinton campaign was targeting voters, as well as view of polling data indicating how well Clinton was doing in various states. When the breach became known, a huge controversy developed in which the DNC cut off Sanders from DNC proprietary data. So they forced Sanders to sue the DNC. The matter was resolved acrimoniously but quickly in a midnight settlement on Friday, December 18, 2015, that allowed Sanders to regain access to the shared DNC historical Democratic voters. Let's see if I can jump down here. So let's jump down a little bit ahead to the actual publishing of the emails. So WikiLeaks starts publishing the emails. Then we'll go to this. What happened in May 2016? The Democratic Party Indiana primary took place on May 3rd, 2016. Sanders achieved a 5-point victory upset over Clinton in Indiana, winning 52.46% to 47.54%. But the superdelegates swung to Clinton, giving Clinton a total of 46 delegates from the Indiana primary compared to 44 for Sanders. What in May was clear was that the Democrats had stacked the deck for a DNC preferred candidate to win the nomination, which was Clinton, not Sanders. The strongest evidence, Seth Rich leaked the WikiLeaks emails. The strongest indication that Seth Rich leaked the DNC and Podesta emails to WikiLeaks come from Julian Assange himself. In an interview broadcast on Dutch television on August 9th, 2016, the host, Elko van Rosenthal, asked Assange, "The stuff that you're sitting on, is that an October surprise in there?" Assange insisted WikiLeaks never sits on material. Even though Assange had previously said WikiLeaks yet had more material related to Hillary Clinton campaign had yet to be published. But goes on to say, on August 9th, 2016, WikiLeaks offers a $20,000 reward for information leading to the conviction for the murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich. Again, why would WikiLeaks do this if Seth Rich were not the leaker? Repeatedly, Assange has denied that the Russians or any state party supplied WikiLeaks with the DNC or Podesta emails. They have denied numerous times that the Russians have absolutely nothing. He's never been contacted by the Russians ever, and that he only got it from an inside source. Not to mention, different ambassadors have said that they've met the leaker, and it is an American. Why the cover-up of the Seth Rich murder investigation? Here's where it gets really fishy. The next most convincing reason to believe Seth Rich is the leaker revolves around the way the Washington Police Department and Democratic Party have perpetrated a cover-up of key evidence of his murder investigation. About all of the Washington Police Department have released, which with certainty is that Seth Rich was shot to death in the Bloomingdale's section of Washington, D.C. in the early hours of July 10th, Sunday, 2016. To date, the Washington police have refused to release any investigative report or autopsy that precisely describes the wound. Despite intensive research efforts by internet sleuths, we do not know for certain which hospital the D.C. Washington police took Seth for treatment after the shooting. So the hospital that they said they took him to does not even have the trauma care center with the capability to taking care of him with those gunshot trauma wounds. So a lot of people are believing he was taken to a different hospital where there's a lot of connections of the people who are working at that hospital. Was there any identification of the shooting suspects or results from a subsequent police investigation? There appears to be some 2.5 hours of unaccounted time between 1:15 a.m. when Rich left a local bar and 4:25 when he was shot near his home. Yeah, 2.5 hours. They don't even know where he was, what was going on. Where was he before he got shot? He was just wandering through the streets for 2.5 hours? Sorting through the thin evidence is unlikely to produce a conclusive breakthrough in this case as long as Washington Police Department withhold all investigative reports and the Democratic National Party continues to dismiss the Seth Rich murder as a conspiracy theory. There's definitely some more things. If you look up Owen Schroyer's special report on Seth Rich, there is now a prosecutor who's been found murdered, washed up. Let me see if I can pull this up. So this one just this article just came out 7 days ago. This is from NewYorkPost.com, NYPost.com. Federal prosecutor's dead body discovered on Florida beach. This federal prosecutor, was the, Benjamin Greenberg, Baranton, Weisenhunt, 37 years old, U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami. This guy would have had access to any voter fraud that would have been involved in that Hillary Clinton campaign thing. And Owen Schroyer breaks down the connection a lot better than I can right now at this moment. But this guy's body just washed up, and he's now connected to Seth Rich. Not to mention there's another guy who was murdered too, found shot as well. I can't think of his name off the top of my head now, but the evidence is just stacking up. I'll do another special report here on what's going on with Seth Rich and how he was definitely murdered by the Clintons. But this is there's so much to cover here on Radio Bravery Live. I'm just a little scattered right now, trying to keep up with work, bills, and staying healthy and keeping up with this radio show. But thank you so much for joining me live. Please subscribe today, youtube.com/Radio Bravery. I'd love to have more than 15 subscribers. That'd be awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me live. I'll be here in the next couple days with another live report, and I'll do another report on Seth Rich, and we've got some more special reports coming as well. So thank you so much. Please subscribe today, youtube.com/Radio Bravery, facebook.com/Radio Bravery. Check out the beta site, radiobravery.wixsite.com/news. You can follow me on Instagram and WordPress and Twitter @Radio Bravery. And I will send you out with another song from Small Leaks Sink Ships here. This one is called Yellow Bird. And thank you so much for joining me on Radio Bravery Live. I'm Justin Bellshaw. I'll see you again soon. Again, thank you so much.
There's my yellow bird, and though I love to feel love from her, but it's all in the past, and my white picket fence is burning to the ground.